There's a theory about the legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, that changes everything. It suggests that Link, the hero we guide through the doomed land of Termina, isn't actually alive, that the entire game is a journey through the afterlife, a descent through the stages of grief, and a meditation on death itself. Tonight, we're going to explore this theory in depth, examining every piece of evidence, every symbol, and every haunting detail that makes Majora's Mask one of the darkest games Nintendo has ever created. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's descend into Termina together. When Majora's Mask was released in the year 2000, players immediately recognized that something was different. This wasn't the triumphant adventure of Ocarina of Time. This was darker, stranger, more unsettling. The game opens with Link riding through a dark forest, searching for a departed friend. Already, we're dealing with themes of loss and separation. But what happens next sets the tone for everything that follows. Link is ambushed by the Skull Kid, a mischievous creature wearing a mysterious mask. The Skull Kid steals Link's ocarina and his horse, Epona. But more importantly, he transforms Link into a Deku Scrub, a small plant-like creature. Link falls, tumbling down into darkness, deeper and deeper, until he emerges in Clock Town, the central hub of Termina. This fall is significant. In many mythologies and religious traditions, a descent into darkness represents death, a journey to the underworld. Link's transformation, his loss of his original form, could represent the shedding of his mortal body. The Happy Mask Salesman, one of the most enigmatic characters in the entire Zelda franchise, is waiting for Link at the bottom. This strange figure, with his unsettling smile and mysterious knowledge, tells Link that he has been robbed of Majora's Mask, a powerful artifact. He gives Link 3 days to retrieve it. 3 days before the moon falls and destroys everything. The Happy Mask Salesman's role in this theory is crucial. He appears to exist outside of normal time and space. He knows things he shouldn't know. He can teach Link the Song of Healing, a melody that can ease suffering and lay spirits to rest. In many interpretations, the Happy Mask Salesman represents a psychopomp, a guide of souls, a figure who helps the dead transition to the afterlife. Clock Town itself is a strange place. It's a town living under the shadow of certain doom. A massive moon with a twisted, agonized face is falling from the sky, and in 3 days, it will destroy everything. The citizens of Clock Town react to this impending apocalypse in different ways. Some deny it's happening, some panic, some accept it with resignation, some try to flee. These reactions mirror the stages of grief identified by psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The entire town is processing death, and Link must navigate through these emotional landscapes. The 3-day cycle is central to the game's mechanics and its symbolism. Link can play the Song of Time to reset the cycle, returning to the dawn of the first day. He retains his important items and his knowledge, but the world resets. People forget him, events repeat. This cycle of repetition, of reliving the same moments over and over, could represent purgatory, a state between life and death where souls are trapped until they can find resolution. Link is stuck in this cycle, unable to move forward, unable to escape, until he completes his journey. The transformation masks Link collects throughout the game are another key piece of evidence. Link doesn't just wear costumes. He transforms into different beings, a Deku scrub, a Goron, and a Zora. Each transformation is accompanied by a painful-looking animation where Link's body contorts and changes. These aren't simple disguises. They represent Link taking on the forms of the dead. Each mask is obtained through the Song of Healing, which is used to ease the suffering of tormented spirits. The Deku butler's son, Darmani the Goron hero, and Mikau the Zora guitarist are all dead or dying when Link encounters them. By playing the Song of Healing, Link releases their spirits and takes their forms. He's literally wearing the faces of the dead. This brings us to the 4 regions of Termina and their symbolic significance. Termina is divided into 4 areas, each accessed through one of the cardinal directions from Clocktown. Each area is suffering from a curse, and each curse must be lifted by completing a temple. These 4 regions, according to the death theory, represent the stages of grief, or alternatively, different realms of the afterlife. Let's start with the Southern Swamp, the first area Link explores. The swamp is poisoned. The water is toxic. The Deku princess has been kidnapped, and the Deku king, in his grief and anger, has wrongly imprisoned a monkey. The Woodfall Temple, hidden deep in the swamp, is the source of the poison. This region represents denial and confusion. The Deku king refuses to see the truth. He lashes out at the innocent. The swamp itself is murky, unclear, difficult to navigate. Link must become a Deku scrub to navigate this area effectively, taking on the form of a creature that represents youth and innocence. Perhaps Link's own denial of his death. The boss of Woodfall Temple is Odolwa, a masked warrior who dances and chants. Odolwa is chaotic, unpredictable, surrounded by fire and insects. Defeating Odolwa and freeing the giant cleanses the swamp, but the symbolism remains. This is the first stage of Link's journey through death, the initial confusion and denial. Moving clockwise, we come to Snowhead, the northern mountain region. Snowhead is trapped in eternal winter. The Goron tribe is freezing and starving. Their hero, Darmani, died trying to break the curse. This region represents anger and frustration. The cold is harsh, unforgiving. The Gorons are suffering, and they're angry about it. The elder's son is crying, his wails causing a perpetual blizzard. Link must become Darmani, taking on the form of the dead hero, to navigate this frozen wasteland and calm the crying child. The Snowhead Temple is filled with puzzles involving fire and ice, life and death. The boss, Goat, is a mechanical bull that charges endlessly around a circular track. It's relentless, aggressive, representing the anger stage of grief. Defeating Goat and freeing the giant brings spring back to the mountain, but the journey continues. Next is the Great Bay, the Western Ocean region. The waters are murky and warm, almost feverish. The Zora tribe is in mourning. Their guitarist, Mikau, has died trying to save the Zora eggs stolen by pirates. Lulu, Mikau's lover, and the lead singer of the Zora band, has lost her voice in her grief. She cannot sing. She cannot express her pain. This region represents depression and sorrow. The ocean, usually a symbol of life, is stagnant and troubled. The Great Bay Temple is underwater, submerged, hidden beneath the surface, much like repressed emotions. Link must become Mikau to navigate the ocean and infiltrate the pirate fortress. The Great Bay Temple is complex and disorienting, with constantly changing water levels. The boss, Georg, is a massive fish that lurks beneath the surface, attacking from below. It represents the hidden depths of depression, the danger that lurks unseen. Freeing the giant from this temple brings clarity to the waters, but Link's journey isn't over. Finally, there's Ikana Canyon, the eastern region. Ikana is a land of the dead. It's a barren, desolate wasteland, filled with the undead. The kingdom of Ikana fell long ago, destroyed by a war with a neighboring tribe. The dead refuse to rest. Skeletons patrol the canyon. Ghosts haunt the music box house. The king of Ikana sits on his throne, a corpse refusing to accept his death. This region represents acceptance, but a twisted form of it. The dead here have accepted that they're dead, but they haven't moved on. They're trapped in their death, unable to let go. The Stone Tower Temple is the most complex and disturbing temple in the game. It's an inverted tower, a blasphemous structure that, according to the game's text, was built by an ancient tribe that tried to challenge the heavens. The temple can be flipped upside down, inverting the entire structure. This inversion is symbolically significant. It represents a complete reversal of the natural order, a world turned upside down by death. The boss, Twin Mold, is a pair of giant flying insects that circle the desert. Defeating them and freeing the final giant represents the final stage of acceptance, the willingness to let go. But there's more to Ikana Canyon. The area is filled with references to death and the afterlife. The Garo, mysterious ninja-like creatures, speak cryptically about their purpose and their fate. When defeated, they ask Link to learn their secrets and then disappear in flames. The Poe Collector, a ghostly figure, trades in the spirits of the dead. The Sharp Brothers, ghostly musicians, must be reunited to teach Link a song. Everything in Ikana is about death, memory, and the refusal to move on. The Stone Tower Temple contains some of the most disturbing imagery in the game. There are blocks with images of dead or dying figures. There are statues that cry tears of blood. The music is ominous and oppressive. This temple, more than any other, feels like a descent into hell, a journey through the darkest aspects of death. Now let's talk about the masks themselves in more detail. Majora's Mask features 24 collectible masks, each with its own story and significance. Many of these masks are obtained by helping people, by easing their suffering, by solving their problems. The Cafe and Anju quest, one of the most elaborate side quests in the game, involves reuniting two lovers before the moon falls. Cafe has been transformed into a child and is searching for his stolen wedding mask. Anju is waiting for him at the inn, refusing to evacuate even as the moon approaches. Their story is about love, commitment, and the desire to be together even in the face of death. By helping them reunite, Link receives the couple's mask, a symbol of their love and devotion. This quest, like many others in the game, is about bringing peace to troubled souls, about helping people find closure before the end. Link is acting as a psychopomp, guiding souls, easing suffering, preparing people for death. The transformation masks, the Deku Mask, Goron Mask, and Zora Mask, are particularly significant. Each represents a dead or dying individual. The Deku Butler's son, whose fate is never explicitly stated but is heavily implied to be dead, given that his father mourns him and Link finds what appears to be his body at the end of the game. Darmani, who explicitly dies and whose spirit Link encounters. Mikao, who dies in Link's arms after washing up on the beach. These aren't just tools for gameplay. They're the faces of the dead, and Link wears them to navigate the world of the dead. The fierce deity mask, obtained by giving all the other masks to the children on the moon, is the most powerful mask in the game. It transforms Link into a tall, white-haired warrior with immense power. The fierce deity is never explained in the game. We don't know who or what it represents. But in the context of the death theory, the fierce deity could represent Link's true form in death, his soul freed from the limitations of his mortal body, a being of pure power and purpose. The moon itself deserves closer examination. It's not a natural celestial body. It has a face, a twisted, agonized expression of rage and sorrow. It's falling slowly, inevitably, toward Termina. The moon represents death, the ultimate end, the inescapable fate that awaits everyone. But inside the moon, accessed after collecting all 4 giant masks, is something even stranger. Inside the moon is a peaceful, sunny field with a single tree. Children wearing the boss masks run around playing. One child, wearing Majora's mask, sits alone under the tree. This serene landscape inside the instrument of destruction is jarring. It could represent the peace that comes after death, the calm after the storm. The children could be the spirits of the bosses Link defeated, now at peace. The child wearing Majora's mask asks Link to play with him, to give him his masks. This final interaction, this game of tag with the children, leads to the final confrontation. Majora's mask, the entity itself, is never fully explained. We know it's an ancient artifact used in hexing rituals. We know it has immense power. We know it's malevolent. But we don't know its origin or its true purpose. In the death theory, Majora's mask could represent death itself, or perhaps the fear of death, the terror and chaos that death brings. The Skull Kid, a lonely child who was befriended by the 4 giants but felt abandoned when they left to protect Termina, found the mask and was corrupted by it. His loneliness and pain, amplified by the mask's power, threatened to destroy everything. The final battle against Majora's mask has 3 phases. First, Link fights the mask itself, floating and spinning, shooting beams of energy. Then the mask grows arms and legs, becoming Majora's incarnation, a dancing, manic figure. Finally, it transforms into Majora's Wrath, a tall, whip-wielding monster. This progression from mask to humanoid to monster could represent the escalating confrontation with death, from the abstract concept to the personal reality to the final, terrifying truth. When Link defeats Majora's Wrath, the mask falls, lifeless. The moon stops falling. The Skull Kid is freed from the mask's influence. The 4 giants hold the moon in place, preventing the apocalypse. The happy mask salesman takes the mask and leaves, his purpose fulfilled. Link is shown leaving Clock Town riding away on Epona. The game ends with the Skull Kid and the 4 giants reunited, and a picture of the Skull Kid and the giants together, suggesting that their friendship has been restored. But here's where the death theory takes its darkest turn. If Link is dead, if Termina is the afterlife, then what does the ending mean? Some interpretations suggest that Link has completed his journey through death, that he's found peace and moved on. The reunion of the Skull Kid and the giants represents reconciliation, the healing of old wounds, the acceptance of loss. Link's departure could represent his soul finally moving on to whatever comes next. Other interpretations are darker. They suggest that Link is trapped in a cycle, that the 3-day loop continues forever, that he's doomed to repeat his journey through death eternally. The fact that the player can continue playing after beating the game, that the 3-day cycle continues, supports this interpretation. Link has saved Termina, but he hasn't escaped it. He's still there, still cycling through the same 3 days, still wearing the faces of the dead. There is also the question of what Termina actually is. The name itself is significant. Termina. Terminal. The end. The land is called the Land of the End. Every character in Termina has a counterpart in Hyrule, the land from Ocarina of Time. The same faces, but different people, different lives, different stories. This has led some to theorize that Termina isn't a real place at all, but a construct, a reflection of Link's memories and experiences populated by echoes of people he knew in life. The happy mask salesman tells Link that he's been traveling in search of masks, that he's been to many lands. He seems to exist outside of Termina's rules. He's not affected by the 3-day cycle in the same way others are. He knows about the Song of Time. He knows about the mask's power. He's waiting for Link at the bottom of the chasm, as if he knew Link would fall there. In the death theory, the happy mask salesman is the guide, the one who helps Link navigate the afterlife, who gives him the tools he needs to complete his journey. The Song of Healing is one of those tools. It's a simple melody, but it has profound power. It can ease suffering, calm troubled spirits, and transform anguish into masks. Every time Link plays the Song of Healing, he's performing a ritual helping a soul find peace. The song itself is a slowed-down, rearranged version of Saria's song from Ocarina of Time. Saria was Link's childhood friend, a connection to his past, to his life. The transformation of her song into a song of healing could represent the transformation of memory into acceptance, of past joy into present peace. The game's music throughout is melancholic and haunting. The Clock Town theme is cheerful, but tinged with sadness. The final hour's music, which plays as the moon draws near, is one of the most anxiety-inducing pieces in gaming. The music in each region reflects its emotional state. The swamp is mysterious and uncertain. The mountain is harsh and aggressive. The ocean is mournful and slow. The canyon is desolate and empty. The music tells the story as much as the visuals and text do. Let's return to the opening of the game for a moment. Link is searching for a departed friend. This friend is never named in Majora's Mask, but context from Ocarina of Time suggests it's Navi, the fairy companion who left Link at the end of that game. Link is searching for Navi in a dark forest. He's alone, separated from his companion, lost in the woods. This search for a departed friend could be literal, or it could be metaphorical. Perhaps Link is searching for something he's lost, something he can never get back. Perhaps he's searching for meaning, for purpose, for a reason to continue. The dark forest itself is significant. Forests in mythology often represent transition, the space between the known and the unknown, the living world and the spirit world. Link enters the forest alive, searching, and emerges in Termina, transformed in a land of death. The forest is the threshold, the boundary he crosses. The Skull Kid, the antagonist of the game, is himself a tragic figure. He's not evil by nature, he's lonely. He was friends with the 4 giants, but they left him to become the guardians of Termina. He felt abandoned, forgotten. When he found Majora's Mask, its power corrupted him, amplifying his pain and loneliness into destructive rage. The Skull Kid represents the danger of unresolved grief, of pain left to fester and grow, He's what happens when loss isn't processed, when anger isn't addressed. The four giants, the protectors of Termina, are ancient beings who watch over the four regions. They're summoned by playing the Oath to Order, a song Link learns throughout his journey. The giants are massive, towering figures who appear to hold the moon in place, preventing the apocalypse. They represent protection, guardianship, the forces that hold back death and chaos. But they're also distant, removed, unable to directly intervene until Link calls them. They can't save Termina on their own. They need Link to break the curses, to free them, to make it possible for them to act. In the death theory, the giants could represent the barriers between life and death, the forces that maintain the separation between worlds. Link's journey to free them could represent his journey to understand death, to accept it, to make peace with it. Only by freeing the giants, by completing his journey through the four regions, can Link confront Majora's Mask and end the cycle. The game's side quests are numerous and detailed. Almost every character in Clocktown has a story, a problem, a life that Link can affect. The bomb shop owner is being robbed. The old lady is being mugged. The ranch is under attack. The postman is torn between duty and survival. Each of these stories is a small tragedy, a small struggle against the inevitable end. By helping these people, Link brings them peace, gives them closure, allows them to face death with dignity. The Anju and Cafe quest is the most elaborate, spanning all 3 days and requiring precise timing. Cafe was transformed into a child by the Skull Kid and is searching for his stolen wedding mask. Anju is waiting for him, trusting that he'll return. Their mothers are at odds, one wanting Anju to flee, the other searching desperately for her son. The quest involves thieves, curses, lost items, and a race against time. In the end, if Link completes every step correctly, Cafe and Anju are reunited in the final hours before the moon falls. They exchange their vows, knowing they'll die together. It's heartbreaking and beautiful, a testament to love in the face of death. The Romani Ranch quest is another tragic story. Romani, a young girl, knows that aliens will come to abduct the cows on the night of the first day. No one believes her. Link can help her defend the ranch, fighting off the aliens and saving the cows. But if he fails, or if he doesn't help, Romani is abducted and returned in a traumatized state, unable to speak coherently. Her sister Crimea tries to protect her, tries to get her to safety, but the roads are blocked. On the final night, Crimea gives Romani Chateau Romani, the ranch's special milk, normally reserved for adults, knowing it's the end. The two sisters sit together, waiting for the moon to fall. It's a story about innocence lost, about the futility of protection, about facing the end with the ones you love. These side quests, and many others, reinforce the themes of death, loss, and acceptance. Every character is dealing with the impending apocalypse in their own way. Every character has a story that Link can affect. By helping them, Link is acting as a guide, a helper, a psychopomp leading souls to peace. The Bomber's Notebook, an item Link receives early in the game, tracks all these side quests and character schedules. It's a record of lives, of stories, of the people of Termina. Filling out the notebook completely requires multiple cycles, multiple playthroughs of the 3 days, learning everyone's routines and problems. It's a meditation on memory and observation, on paying attention to the lives around you, on recognizing that every person has a story worth knowing. The game's structure, the 3-day cycle, creates a unique relationship between the player and the world. Unlike most games, where time is abstract or paused during gameplay, Majora's Mask has a real ticking clock. Events happen at specific times. Characters follow schedules. If you're not in the right place at the right time, you miss things. This creates urgency, but also a strange intimacy. You learn the rhythms of Clocktown. You know where people will be, what they'll be doing. You become an observer of their lives, watching them repeat the same 3 days over and over. This repetition is key to the death theory. Purgatory, in many religious traditions, is a place of repetition, of cycling through the same experiences until you learn what you need to learn, until you're ready to move on. Link is trapped in this cycle, but he's also learning from it. Each cycle, he gains new items, new abilities, new knowledge. He's progressing, even as the world resets. He's moving toward something, even as everything around him stays the same. The Song of Time, which allows Link to reset the cycle, is both a blessing and a curse. It gives him the power to try again, to fix mistakes, to save people he couldn't save before. But it also traps him in the loop. Every time he plays the Song of Time, the world forgets him. The people he helped don't remember. The progress he made is undone. Only Link remembers. Only Link carries the weight of all those cycles, all those attempts, all those failures and successes. There's a loneliness to this. Link is the only one who experiences the full scope of the 3 days. Everyone else is trapped in their own small loop, repeating the same actions, speaking the same words, living the same moments. Link is the only one who's truly aware, truly conscious of the cycle. He's isolated by his knowledge, separated from everyone around him by his unique perspective. This isolation mirrors the isolation of grief. When you lose someone, you carry that loss with you. The world moves on, but you're stuck, replaying memories, cycling through emotions, unable to escape the weight of what you've lost. Link's journey through Termina could be seen as a journey through grief, through the process of learning to live with loss, to accept it, to move forward despite it. The transformation masks force Link to literally become someone else, to take on their form, their abilities, their identity. But these transformations are painful. The animation shows Link's body contorting, changing, suffering. He's not just wearing a costume, he's fundamentally altering himself. This could represent the way grief changes us, the way loss transforms our identity, the way we become different people after experiencing death. As a Deku Scrub, Link is small, vulnerable, able to hop on water but unable to swim. As a Goron, he's strong, heavy, able to roll and smash through obstacles but slow and cumbersome. As a Zora, he's graceful in water but fragile on land. Each form has strengths and weaknesses. Each form is necessary. To navigate different parts of Termina, Link must be adaptable, must be willing to change, must be willing to take on different identities to complete his journey. The fierce deity mask, the final transformation, is different. It's not obtained through the Song of Healing. It's not the face of someone Link helped. It's given to him by the child wearing Majora's mask, in exchange for all the other masks. The fierce deity is powerful, almost godlike. It can only be used in boss battles, as if its power is too great for the normal world. The fierce deity could represent Link's final transformation, his ultimate acceptance of his role, his full embrace of his power and purpose in death. The name Fierce Deity is interesting. In Japanese, the mask is called Oni-Link, with Oni being a type of demon or ogre in Japanese folklore. But the English translation chose Fierce Deity, emphasizing the divine aspect. This figure is both fierce and divine, both terrifying and holy. It's a being of immense power, beyond mortal limitations. In the death theory, this could be Link's true form in the afterlife, freed from the constraints of his mortal body, a being of pure will and strength. Now let's consider the evidence against the death theory. The most obvious counter-argument is that the game never explicitly states that Link is dead. There's no scene showing Link's death. There's no confirmation from the developers that this was their intent. The theory is based on interpretation, on symbolism, on reading between the lines. It's possible that Termina is simply another land, that the dark themes are just that, themes, not literal representations of death. The game's ending shows Link leaving Termina, riding away on Epona. If he were dead, how could he leave? How could he return to the living world? The happy masked salesman leaves as well, suggesting that Termina is a real place that can be entered and exited. The Skull Kid and the Giants are reunited, suggesting that the story has a happy ending, that the threat has been resolved, that life goes on. Additionally, the game is a sequel to Ocarina of Time. Link is the same Link from that game, the hero of time. He's searching for Navi, his fairy companion. This suggests continuity, a continuation of his life and adventures, not a journey through death. The game's manual and promotional materials describe it as Link's next adventure, not as a metaphorical exploration of the afterlife. However, the death theory doesn't necessarily require that Link be literally physically dead. It could be interpreted metaphorically. Termina could represent a psychological state, a mental landscape Link is navigating. The fall into Termina could represent a descent into depression or trauma. The 3-day cycle could represent the repetitive, intrusive thoughts that come with grief or PTSD. The transformation masks could represent the different personas we adopt to cope with pain. In this interpretation, Link isn't literally dead, but he's dealing with death, with loss, with the trauma of his experiences in Ocarina of Time. He saved Hyrule, but at great cost. He was sent back in time, erasing the future he fought for, separating him from the people he knew as an adult. He lost 7 years of his childhood. He lost Navi. He's a child again, but he carries the memories and experiences of an adult. He's displaced, disconnected, searching for something he can't quite name. Termina, in this reading, is Link's mind processing these experiences. The impending apocalypse is the weight of his trauma, the feeling that everything is falling apart. That disaster is inevitable. The people of Termina, with their familiar faces but different identities, are echoes of people Link knew, distorted by his mental state. The 4 regions and their curses are different aspects of his grief and trauma that he must confront and overcome. This psychological interpretation maintains the symbolic power of the death theory while avoiding the literal claim that Link is dead. It allows the game to be both a fantastical adventure and a deep exploration of grief, loss, and healing. It respects the game's place in the Zelda timeline while acknowledging its unique, dark tone. The game's Japanese title is Zelda no Densetsu Majora no Kamen, which translates directly to The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. There's no hidden meaning in the title that supports the death theory. However, the game's promotional tagline in Japan was, "Shall we play hide and seek with the moon?" This playful yet ominous phrase captures the game's tone, the sense of impending doom mixed with childlike innocence. The development of Majora's Mask was rushed. Nintendo gave the team only 1 year to create the game, reusing assets and the engine from Ocarina of Time. This tight deadline might explain some of the game's darker, more experimental elements. The developers had less time for polish, less time for conventional game design, and perhaps more freedom to explore unusual ideas. The result is a game that feels different from any other Zelda title, more personal, more strange, more willing to make the player uncomfortable. Director Eiji Aonuma has spoken about the game's themes in interviews. He's mentioned that the game is about the importance of time, about cherishing the moments we have, about the relationships we build. He's acknowledged the game's dark tone, but has framed it in terms of appreciating life, not dwelling on death. However, he's also been deliberately vague about many of the game's mysteries, preferring to let players interpret the story for themselves. The game's composer, Koji Kondo, created a soundtrack that perfectly captures the game's atmosphere. The music is often melancholic, sometimes unsettling, always memorable. The Clocktown theme, with its cheerful melody undercut by a sense of urgency, sets the tone for the entire game. The final hour's music, a distorted, slowed-down version of the Clocktown theme, creates a sense of dread and inevitability. The music in each temple reflects the emotional state of that region, from the tribal drums of Woodfall to the mechanical clanging of Snowhead to the ethereal echoes of Great Bay to the oppressive silence of Stone Tower. The game's visual design is equally important. The moon's face is one of the most iconic and disturbing images in gaming. It's not a natural moon. It's a malevolent presence, a constant reminder of the impending end. The way it grows larger each day, the way its face becomes more detailed and more anguished as it approaches, creates a sense of mounting dread. By the final hours, the moon fills the sky, its face twisted in rage and pain, and you can see the impact coming. The character designs in Termina are familiar yet different. They're based on characters from Ocarina of Time, but they're not the same people. Malon becomes Romani and Crimea. Ingo becomes Gorman. The Carpenters are the same, but their personalities are different. Talon is the mayor. This reuse of character models creates a sense of uncanny familiarity, a feeling that you know these people, but you don't, that this world is like Hyrule, but fundamentally different. The game's dungeons are fewer than in Ocarina of Time, only 4 main temples compared to Ocarina's 9. But each temple in Majora's Mask is larger, more complex, more challenging. The temples are designed around central mechanics. Woodfall uses the Deku Mask and bow. Snowhead uses the Goron Mask and fire arrows. Great Bay uses the Zora Mask and ice arrows. And Stone Tower uses the light arrows and the ability to flip the entire temple upside down. Stone Tower Temple deserves special attention. It's the final temple, the culmination of Link's journey. The temple is built upside down, with the entrance at the top and the boss at the bottom. But by playing the Elegy of Emptiness and shooting a light arrow at a specific crystal, Link can flip the entire temple, inverting it, so that the top becomes the bottom and the bottom becomes the top. This inversion is disorienting and symbolically rich. It represents a complete reversal of perspective, a fundamental change in understanding. In the death theory, it could represent the moment when Link fully accepts his death, when his perspective shifts from denial to acceptance, when up becomes down and down becomes up. The Elegy of Emptiness, the song that allows Link to create statues of his current form, is itself unsettling. The statues are hollow shells, empty copies of Link's transformations. They're used to hold down switches, to mark progress, to solve puzzles. But they're also eerie, lifeless duplicates, standing motionless wherever Link leaves them. The song's name, Elegy of Emptiness, suggests mourning and absence. An elegy is a song of lament, a poem for the dead. Emptiness suggests loss, void, the absence of life. The statues Link creates are monuments to absence, markers of the dead forms he's taken. The game's text and dialogue often hint at deeper meanings. Characters speak of fate, of destiny, of the inevitability of the moon's fall. The Skull Kid, when freed from Majora's mask, says, "You have the same smell as the fairy kid who taught me that song in the woods." This confirms that the Skull Kid knew Link in the past, that they have a connection, that Link's presence in Termina isn't random. The Happy Mask salesman speaks in riddles and cryptic statements, never fully explaining his knowledge or his purpose. The game's ending, after the credits, shows a picture of the Skull Kid and the four giants together, smiling. It's a picture of friendship restored, of reconciliation, of peace. But it's just a picture, a frozen moment, a memory. The game doesn't show us what happens next. It doesn't show us Link's future. It leaves us with this image of friendship and the knowledge that Link has moved on, riding away into the forest, still searching, still journeying. The death theory, whether interpreted literally or metaphorically, adds a layer of meaning to Majora's Mask that makes it more than just a game. It becomes a meditation on mortality, on the ways we cope with loss, on the journey through grief. It explains the game's dark tone, its unusual structure, its focus on time and repetition. It gives weight to every interaction, every side quest, every mask collected. If Link is dead or processing death, then every moment in Termina matters, every person he helps, every spirit he lays to rest, every curse he breaks is part of his journey toward acceptance and peace. The theory also explains why Majora's Mask feels so different from other Zelda games. It's not a straightforward hero's journey. It's not about defeating evil and saving the princess. It's about confronting the inevitable, about finding meaning in the face of meaninglessness, about helping others even when you can't help yourself. It's about the small moments of kindness and connection that make life or death bearable. Whether or not the developers intended for Majora's Mask to be a literal journey through the afterlife, they created a game that resonates with those themes. They created a world that feels like a liminal space, a place between life and death, a land of endings and transitions. They created characters who are all dealing with loss and fear and the approach of the end. They created a story about time, memory, and the importance of the connections we make. The game asks us to pay attention, to care about the people around us, to recognize that everyone has a story, that everyone is struggling with something. It asks us to be present, to make the most of the time we have, to help where we can. These are lessons about life, but they're also lessons about death, about how we face the end, about what we leave behind. In the end, whether Link is literally dead or metaphorically processing death doesn't change the emotional impact of the game. Majora's Mask is a game about endings, about loss, about the weight of time and the inevitability of change. It's a game that asks difficult questions and doesn't always provide easy answers. It's a game that trusts the player to think, to feel, to interpret, to find their own meaning in the symbols and stories it presents. The death theory is compelling because it provides a framework for understanding the game's many mysteries. It explains the happy mask salesman's knowledge and purpose. It explains the transformation masks and the song of healing. It explains the four regions and their symbolic significance. It explains the 3-day cycle and the sense of being trapped. It explains the moon and its terrible face. It explains why Termina feels like a reflection of Hyrule, familiar yet fundamentally different. But even if you reject the death theory, even if you believe Termina is simply another land and Link is simply on another adventure, the game's themes remain. The game is still about time, about loss, about helping others, about facing fear. The game is still dark, still unsettling, still unlike any other Zelda title. The game still asks you to think about mortality, about what matters, about how you spend your time. Majora's Mask is a game that stays with you long after you've beaten it, long after you've collected all the masks and completed all the side quests. The images remain. The moon's face, the transformation animations, the final hour's music, the empty streets of Clocktown as everyone flees or hides, the moment when the giants appear holding back the moon, the final confrontation with Majora's Mask, the picture of the Skull Kid and the giants, friends reunited. These images, these moments, these feelings are what make Majora's Mask special. They're what make the death theory resonate, whether it's literally true or not. They're what make the game more than just a game. They make it art, a piece of interactive storytelling that explores deep, difficult themes in ways that only games can. So, is Link dead? Is Termina the afterlife? Is the entire game a journey through the stages of grief? Maybe, maybe not. The beauty of Majora's Mask is that it doesn't give us definitive answers. It presents us with symbols, with stories, with experiences, and asks us to make sense of them. It respects our intelligence and our emotional capacity. It trusts us to engage with its themes, to think about its meanings, to find our own truths in its mysteries. What we can say for certain is that Majora's Mask is a game about death, not in the simple sense of enemies to defeat or game overs to avoid, but in the profound sense of mortality, of endings, of the weight of time, and the inevitability of loss. It's a game that asks us to confront these realities, to sit with them, to find meaning and beauty, even in the face of the end. And perhaps that's the real lesson of Majora's Mask. Not that death is something to fear or avoid, but that it's something to acknowledge, to accept, to integrate into our understanding of life. The game shows us a world facing its end, and it shows us the many ways people respond to that reality. Some deny it, some rage against it, some despair, some accept it, and some, like Link, choose to act, to help, to make a difference in whatever time remains. The 3-day cycle, the constant reset, the repetition of the same moments over and over, could be seen as a curse, but it could also be seen as an opportunity. Each cycle is a chance to do better, to help more people, to make more connections, to bring more peace. Each cycle is a chance to learn, to grow, to become more than you were before. Link doesn't escape the cycle by running from it. He escapes it by completing it, by doing what needs to be done, by helping everyone he can, by confronting the source of the curse and ending it. This is the hero's journey in Majora's Mask. Not a journey to defeat evil and save the world, though that happens too, but a journey to accept loss, to process grief, to find meaning in suffering, to help others even when you're struggling yourself. It's a journey through darkness toward light, through death toward life, through despair toward hope. The game ends with Link riding away, leaving Termina behind. He's completed his journey. He's done what he came to do. The Skull Kid is free. The giants are reunited. The moon has stopped falling. Termina is saved. But Link doesn't stay. He continues on, still searching, still journeying, because the journey never really ends. There's always another forest, another mystery, another friend to find. Life and death are journeys without final destinations, only moments of rest and resolution before the next chapter begins. Majora's Mask is a masterpiece because it understands this. It understands that stories don't always have neat endings, that questions don't always have clear answers, that life is complicated and messy and beautiful and terrible all at once. It presents us with a world on the brink of destruction and asks us what we would do, how we would spend our final days, who we would help, what we would fight for. And in asking these questions and presenting these choices and creating this dark, strange, beautiful world, Majora's Mask becomes more than a game. It becomes a mirror, reflecting our own fears and hopes, our own struggles with time and loss and meaning. It becomes a space for contemplation, for feeling, for understanding ourselves and our relationship with mortality. So whether Link is dead or alive, whether Termina is the afterlife or another land, whether the death theory is true or just a compelling interpretation, one thing is certain. Majora's Mask is a game about what it means to face the end, to confront death, to find meaning in the time we have. And that's a theme that resonates with all of us, because we're all on that same journey, all facing that same inevitable end, all searching for meaning and connection in the time we're given. The moon is always falling, the clock is always ticking, the end is always approaching. But we have these 3 days, these moments, these opportunities to help, to love, to make a difference. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything. Maybe that's what Majora's Mask has been trying to tell us all along.